This video is for Chapter 2, actually Section 2.1, and I'm going to show you how to construct a frequency distribution. And we are going to also learn how to use StatCrunch. This is an example where we have all of the ages of presidents at inauguration. And we are going to take all this data that's just a big list of numbers or ages right now, and we're going to organize it into a frequency distribution, and then we're going to make a histogram out of it. So let's go ahead and get started. Looking at this data, I want to make a frequency distribution. And so I'm looking at several things here. One thing I want to see is that the oldest president at inauguration is 70. That's actually Trump. And then it looks like the youngest is 47. So we need to organize this data. So what I want to do, we're going to make classes out of the data. We're going to group up the ages because we can't list every single age out. So we're going to group up the ages. What I would like to do is start at 40, and we need to be able to go up to 70. So I need to figure out how am I going to divide up these ages. So first I need to decide how many classes I want to have. So I want to group this into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classes. So we're going to have, and that's just something we decide ahead of time, that how many classes we want to have. In your homework, this will probably be given to you in the problem. Then we need to figure out the class width. So how many ages are going to be in each group? So there's a formula to do this. And roughly what we do to find the width, the class width, is we take our maximum value of 70 minus the minimum value, and we're going to use 40 because even though our minimum value, actually 42 is the lowest. Even though 42 is the lowest, I want to just make it a nice clean start at 40. So our minimum value on our chart is going to be 40 years old divided by how many classes. So we want 7 classes. So the difference here, if we do the work, is going to be 30 divided by 7. We ended up getting 4.2. Now that's not an even number. So what we do if we don't get an even number, or an integer, we always round up to the next highest integer. So we're going to round up to 5. So we want our class width to be 5. So what that means, if this class starts at 40, then the next class will start at 5 more than that, at age 45. Then age 50, 55, age 60, 65, and 70. So if this one starts at 45, this one right here, this class, will end at 44. So we call this our lower class limit, which is 40, and the upper class limit is 44. So I'm going to finish filling these out. So this would be to 49. This would go to 54. This would go to 59 and 64, 69, and 70 to 74. Whoops, 74. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go through this list and count up how many presidents fall in the ages of 40 and 44. So I have a place here for your tally marks, but we would count 2 of them. So just to speed things up, I'm going to go ahead and do this for you. We've got 7 in this age bracket. There was 13 presidents that were between ages of 50 and 54 at inauguration, 12 in this class, 7 in this class, 3 and 1. So these are our frequencies. And then what we do sometimes is we construct a relative frequency. So in other words, we want to see what percent of presidents were between the ages of 40 and 44. So to do that, we need a total. So if you total up there's 45 presidents in this list. That would be the same as totaling up all these frequencies here. So that's 45. So the relative frequency for presidents in this age group would be 2 out of the total of 45, which gives me 4%, 0.04 or 4%. This would be 7 presidents out of the 45 were in this bracket. So dividing 7 divided by 45 is 16%. So I would just keep building out my chart. This is the biggest class that we have. There were 13 presidents between ages 50 and 54 at inauguration, which is 29%. So just continuing to build the chart, this is 27%. This would be 7 out of 45, which is 16%. This is 3 out of 45, which is 7%. And 1 out of 45, which is 2%. So we have a frequency distribution. These are our frequencies, and these are our relative frequencies. We call these classes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classes, with these numbers being the lower limits and these numbers being our upper limits. So let's answer some questions, and your assignment reflects these questions here. What is the class width? We already figured that out. The class width is 5. The lower class limit of the second interval. Here's my first, here's my second interval, so the lower class limit is 45. Now class midpoint, this is something you need to know how to find. That's the value in the middle of our fourth interval. So we have 1, 2, 3. Here's my fourth interval. So what age is in the middle of 50 and 55? To do that, we would just take 55 plus 59 and just divide that in half, finding the average of those two numbers, and that actually turns out to be 57. So that is the number or the age in the middle of our fourth class. The relative frequency of the fifth interval, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the relative frequency is 16%. The cumulative frequency of the third interval. Now this is something that we haven't done yet, but the cumulative frequency sometimes would be another column out here. So I'm just going to put cumulative frequency, and that is simply a total. So if we look at our first class, we've had a total of 2 presidents up to age 44. But now if we want to know how many presidents do we have at inauguration, starting at 40 up to 49, we have this 2 plus the 7, so that's going to be 9. And then we just continue to add those together. So for our third class, we've got the 2 plus the 7 plus 13 more presidents. So up here we have a cumulative total of 22 presidents. And then for the next class, we now have 12 more. So you take the 22 plus the 12, that's a total of 34. Adding 7 more gives us 41. Adding 3 more is 44. And adding this last president here gives us a total of 45 presidents. So these are our cumulative frequencies. So the cumulative frequency of the third interval, 1, 2, 3, would be 22. So now what we're going to do is look at how could we make this easier. That was a lot of work. How can we do this more easy, or quicker I should say, using StatCrunch? So this is what we're going to do. Let's go to StatCrunch. This is statcrunch.com, and you will need to sign in. This is with your username and password that you created when you created your Pearson account. I already have this data set loaded for you in your groups. So go to your groups, and this is the group that you joined, and you should see President's age at inauguration. So here is all that data, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a frequency chart out of StatCrunch. So I've got the StatCrunch instructions here at the bottom, but I'm going to just let you see how we do this. So we've got our data already entered here. So we're going to go to Stat, and then Tables, and we're going to make a frequency table. We want to tell it where to look, so we want it to look in VAR 1. And then we have a frequency and relative frequency highlighted here, which is what we're after. And it says, do we want to turn on binning? And yes, we do. So it's turned on the binning for us, and you can see that it's built the chart for us that we've already done. Now, if we want to look at a histogram, we can do that as well. So we can go to, I'm going to just I'll just move this over here. I'll just X this out. We can go to graph, histogram, tell it to look in var1, and we have to tell it how to build out our histogram. So right here where it says bins, we want to start our bins at age 40, and we said that we wanted the class width to be 5. I like to select value above bar, and that's going to give me my frequency count. Or if we change this right here to relative frequency, it will give me that value over the bar. But let's just look at frequency, and let's hit compute. So this is the histogram that we have built using StatCrunch. And notice the number on top of the bar, the 2, the 7, the 13, those are our frequency counts. Now let me show you simply how to make a relative frequency histogram. All we do is change the value above the bar. So we can click on options, and we're going to edit our selections, and we just go here to type. Instead of leaving this as frequency, we can change it to relative frequency. So there you go. So we've built these 2 different histograms using StatCrunch.